I'll just be saying anything on here. Vagina. How do you choose between your girlfriend and your purpose? You don't choose. Your purpose comes first. The fuck? Come on now. She comes second. She don't even come second. God come first and then your purpose. Come on, boy. You should know better than this. How do I choose between? You don't. It's simple. She ain't going nowhere. And if she do, you could replace her easily. Talk about how do I choose between my girl and my purpose. Come on, man. You should know better than that. That's silly. That's so silly because if you ain't got the purpose, you ain't gonna have the girl. Come on now. Come on now. Get it together. Together forever. Thank you for the basketballs. Pause. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Appreciate it. Thank you. Muchos gracias. Lola Rose. Thanks. Oh, that's a girl. You gonna stay for the topic? Thank you, Lola Rose. I appreciate that. Damn, these glasses are really dark. I was going to keep the glasses on for the live, but this shit is, I can't really see. All right, we're going to talk about having standards on today's podcast because I see a lot of, you know what I'm saying? A lot of guys don't have standards, you know? And then you know what I noticed? A lot of girls have standards and guys don't have standards like at all. Like guys will literally accept anything. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're gonna talk about today's podcast. Somebody said you look like Brent Faiyaz. First of all, I look better than Brent Faiyaz, so don't disrespect me. I love his music, no homo, but I definitely look better than Brent Faiyaz. So please don't respect your G rate. You know what I'm saying? Don't respect your boy. Don't disrespect. Damn, Lola Rose, you trying to go on a date? Like she keeps sending gifts. Chilling, man, chilling. What's good? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we about to get started on the podcast in a second. Un momento. I think this, who knows what podcast number we on? I think it's 155. I think it's podcast number 155. Setting boundaries is easy. See, if y'all was in the relationship course, you would know how to set boundaries. Setting boundaries is easy. Sometimes you set boundaries on the spot because there's a lot of things that you'll encounter that you never know, um, you didn't like. But usually you set boundaries before a relationship. You got to sit down and be like, hey, this is the boundaries. Let me see. I think this is podcast number 156, to be honest. Let's see what the last one was. Yeah, this is 156. The last one was 155. You got it right. I got to start giving out gifts for whoever could like guess the right podcast, the right podcast number. Thank you, Lola Rose, for all the gifts. Appreciate you. I'm not sure if you know what you walked into. But we about to get started on the podcast. All right, everybody drop ones in the chat if you're ready to get started on the podcast. And oh shit. closed out by accident. God darn it. Okay, I got it back. All right, guys, podcast number 156. Today we're going to be talking about standards. But before we do that, let's run a little promotion promoting the relationship course. All right. Thank you, Tate, for that drop. Good old, good old AI helping me promote my helping me promote the relationship course. Make sure you guys hit the link in the bio and get that. But today we're going to be talking about having standards. You know, one thing that I noticed is that a lot of guys don't have standards. They don't. And I'm throwing the shades. A lot of guys don't have standards. And guys will accept anything. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about today. Guys will literally just accept anything. So let's get into that. And then if you know how the podcast goes, how it goes is we usually play a song, and then after the song, we gets it on. So right now we're gonna play Jo Say It Ain't, and then right after this, we will get into the podcast.
Yeah, nigga. This is that big Hollywood shit, nigga.
Okay.
You copping that shit you wish
Okay,
you
you
could,
know
kid.
what you want to.
You
Okay,
know what I'm
cool,
saying?
cool, cool.
Ain't
Appreciate that.
fucking around out here, man. Fuck you thought it was, nigga. You know how we do it, nigga. We doing back-to-back shit. Ain't no stopping, ain't no motherfucking breaks, nigga. This shit ain't for the weak. So tell them niggas, watch out. I'm gon' blow, ain't depending on them niggas. Yeah, I'm gon' roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Got the city on fire, but I'm still too cold. Always tell it like it is. Yeah, you know I'm too bold, but you still sleeping on me. Niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so, got it figured out. Tried to be the nice guy, but now I'm on a different route. Probably got your girlfriend in my crib, just trying to dick her down. And best believe I kick her out if she don't plan on putting out. Yeah, cause I'm a dog, I'm a fucking dog. Got a lot of bitches, but I'm always trying to fuck some more. Yeah, so what you want from a nigga? I done found out the game, and they don't be loving niggas. I'm good, I'm all set. The way I do my own thing, yeah, they all vex. Out here calling shots like a motherfucking rap. Whole time y'all was playing checkers, I was playing chess. Man, this shit a mess. I'm going blow, ain't depending on them niggas. Yeah, I'm going roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Got the city on fire, but I'm still too cold. Always tell it like it is. Yeah, you know I'm too bold, but you still sleeping on me. Niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so that I'm back, nigga. Tell Shorty that I'm in. She don't he a whack, nigga, doing all that yapping. He just hating cause my stack's bigger. Hit it from the back. I'm the one that got her ass bigger. Yeah, and I'm a boss. I'm a fucking boss. Feeling like I'm Cali, baby. I ain't never took a loss. Nah, and I made y'all with the cross. Putting on for my city, and I put that on the cross. So I'm good. I'm all set. Who's real? Who's fake? Man, let's put them to the test. I ain't worried about a thing, baby. I ain't never stressed. Ben thought I was that nigga. Man, I must confess. Bitch, I've been the best. I'm going blow, ain't depending on them niggas. Yeah, I'm going roll. I ain't even tripping about the lies being told. That's what happens when you poppin' niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Got the city on fire, but I'm still too cold. Always tell it like it is. Yeah, you know I'm too bold, but you still sleeping on me. Niggas say it ain't so. Say it ain't.
All right, guys, that was Say It Ain't by Jo. That is not out yet, but when it does come out, you will know. But anyway, let's get into the podcast. So today we're going to be talking about standards. Now, standards is something that is very important. Standards is something that a lot of guys don't have. Like, I've never done this personally, but whenever I ask guys, and guys ask me questions about like being on dating apps, what do most guys do? You know what they do. They get on there and they just get to swiping. Not caring what they get, not caring what they match with. They just out there to just get anything. get the first thing coming, right? And that is a problem because, and I get it. A lot of guys, your average guy, right? Your average guy doesn't get girls like that. Your average guy isn't having sex like that. Your average guy, I think it was like 5 out of 10 men in the United States go a year without having sex. That's crazy. I don't, the last time I went a year without having sex was voluntarily, and I was 17 years old. And I remember this was when I was like, I always studied religion growing up. Um, but at this time I was like really studying, and I was like, damn, I'm doing everything perfect, but I'm still like, zina, like I'm still like, having sex outside of marriage. I was like, damn. So I broke up with my girl. I had a really pretty girlfriend at the time too. Broke up with her. Um, and then I was like, yeah, now I'm good. And I did that for like not exactly a year. It was like almost, I want to say 11 months, something like that. It was close to a year. Other than that, that was a year. Your average guy, average guys 5 out of 10 men are going a year without having sex. That's crazy. 1 out of 3 men in the United States are virgins. And it's supposedly, well, that's the thing. You don't know if that's by choice, but how many men are not deliberately having sex by choice, right? And that's just something for you to think about. But I think and it contributes to the reason why a lot of men don't have standards, right? And I think that for the men that do have standards, their standards are very low. And I'm always on this app. You're always on TikTok, and you see how like all these women talk about, oh, I'm not tolerating this, I'm not tolerating that, and I'm not tolerating this. So then when you come together with a female and you guys talking about your standards are so low, all you're doing is living up to her standards. Now, if men had standards, women will actually hear and care about what men actually want and have to say, because a lot of the times men are just willing to accept anything, and they're so happy just to be in a girl's presence. And there's this narrative society that she's a princess, she's a queen, we have to accept her, and if we say anything else bad about it, then we're not accepted, or it's a problem. Like if a guy starts to talk about his standards, you're like, oh well, you get condemned, really. You get condemned. And hold on, let me mute the mic. Somebody came on and they didn't mute their mic. And you get condemned. So today we're going to be talking about some of the standards that guys should have, right? And I think that starting with the first and foremost, guys, when we're dating girls, I would suggest, and I understand that a lot of people smoke weed. All right, that's your thing. I don't smoke weed personally, right? And I'm not saying that you have to not smoke weed. I'm not condemning you if you smoke weed. I don't do it. I've never done it. Not even a day in my life. I've never put a blunt to my lips. Not even a cigar. I mean, maybe I would do it to like so it looks cool, but I've never smoked weed a day in my life. But one thing that I would suggest is staying away from avid drug users. Like if you know this girl sniff coke every once in a while, if you know this girl's on Molly, she's doing all types of crazy stuff on a regular, like not just oh she's done it in the past. If she's regularly doing this, right? If she's like a local druggie, right? If she smokes, if she and especially if it's excessive, if she smokes weed all day long. She goes to work and smoke, comes back home and smoke. If she's high all the time, that will be a problem eventually because dude, she's spending so much money on smoking weed. She's always high. And me personally, whenever I start talking, I feel like almost not all. A lot of the girls that I've talked to have always smoked weed, and they've all stopped once they started talking to me. I can't take the smell. I don't know how you guys deal with it. Like, have you ever kissed a girl and she has weed breath? Ugh. Eh, it's the worst. It's the worst ever. It's the absolute worst shit ever. I can't take it and it stinks. And a lot of the times I'll tell a girl, like, honestly, I don't feel like kissing you right now. And that's not deliberate. That's not a technique. That's not something that I'm trying to do to stress her out or give her anxiety. I genuinely don't like the smell. And I would say these are some standards that you guys have to put. And you would think this is basic, but there are a lot of guys who are in these relationship with girls and they just accept everything. The girl's a druggie, she's doing all types of craziness, getting drunk every day. Now, another standard that you need to put in your relationships is dealing with overly aggressive women, right? And this is kind of a tricky topic sometimes. And why The reason I say why is because a lot of the times, if you're a little more dominant, if you're a lot more dominant, if you know how to check it and set boundaries for your respect in a relationship, women usually probably won't be that aggressive with you. And that's the truth. Because a lot of the times you'll see a girl, and I think the perfect celebrity couple, well, I guess they're celebrities. Oh, yeah, the rappers. But anyway, is Moneybag Yo and Ari, right? If you ever seen Ari in any of her past relationships, and the only reason I remember because I box, right? So I watch a lot of boxing, and I remember she was dating Javante Davis, and this man knocks out people for a living, right? He hits hard, great boxer, one of the best in the game right now, right? And she was talking to this man crazy, absolutely crazy, telling him to sit down and shut the F up. I was just like, and he sat down and shut the F up. And I'm just like, are you serious? But when she's with Moneybag Yo, she don't do none of that stuff. And she's even talked about it in interviews, right? You can see when she was with what's her last rapper boyfriend from Chicago? I forget his name. She was real aggressive with him too. But with Moneybag Yo, she's not like that. And you can see how she's like that with her friends. She's like that with other people, really aggressive and just crazy at the mouth, but she doesn't act like that with her man. So when you're having standards and you're setting standards for a relationship, obviously you would want a feminine woman. Somebody who's feminine is an indicator of a lot of things. You know, she's usually submissive and she's usually you know, just acting more of a female. She more is more servitude. You'll get out of that kind of girl. But these overly aggressive females, now I know if you live in New York, that's kind of hard because women in New York are just aggressive. But contrary to popular belief, there are girls that will be feminine. There are girls that will be submissive, and because I date them, and some of them, when you first start talking to them, they are a little aggressive. But when they realize how aggressive I am too, and that's just me being natural, you know, they comply, they behave more submissive. So that's one thing to look for. Dealing with overly aggressive men when she's yelling and doing all this crazy stuff. Now, this is a big thing. If you're dealing with a girl and she's dirty, dirty women, don't do it. Dirty women are the worst. Like if you go over her house and her bathroom's dirty and her room is dirty. Listen, sometimes I slip up and my room ain't the best all the time, right? I try to clean every Sunday when I'm home. I try to clean up and just get it reorganized. But throughout that week, if I don't have a shorty come over here, if I don't have my shorty come over here and she doesn't clean up for me, bro, it's gonna be a mess. Both of us can't be slacking on cleanliness. And I clean, but sometimes my room gets a little out of order. But if your room is the same way, no, because that's an indicator of other things. Like, what if you're home and you don't clean? What if you don't like that makes me think, and this is a bit personal. Girls that go to the bathroom and they keep like wipes, like wet wipes in their bag to clean themselves after they use the bathroom. Not necessarily even taking number two, just number one to wipe themselves. Some girls don't do that. That is it. That is how do you say girls say that's an ick for me. Like, oh, you got a purse? You're not gonna take your purse with you? Oh, you don't got wipes? I'm real particular about that. Some of these girls are really nasty. Some girls are really, really nasty. And that's the one thing you need to, and this is an indicator. You go over a house, her house isn't clean, her house is dirty. These are girls maybe you should stay away from. Dirty girls are a no-no. That shit is disgusting, you know. And a lot of guys, they'll deal with this. I've had maybe a handful of guys tell me about how the girl it doesn't clean. It's not something you hear too often. At least not something I hear too often, but I know it exists because a lot of guys not even sure that this should be a standard to have before you start trying to take a girl serious and considering marriage or considering dating her. Make sure she's clean. Dirty women are disgusting. And then like even still like when it comes to a woman's body, like especially with their private parts, they have to be a little more clean. Like they get subjected to so much more stuff like yeast infections. They can get this stuff really easy too. They have to be clean. So if she's not clean, you're subjugating yourself to stuff too, because you're going to be eventually laying down with this woman and you want to stay with this woman, and then you start to see her bad habits. So just make sure that's something that you filter out when it comes to dating women. Another one is vindictive woman, the woman that's going to get her revenge. And it's a hallmark of a high quality woman. The woman that wants to get revenge for everything. Oh, I'm gonna get my lick back. You cheat on me, I'm gonna cheat on you back. You know how much energy that takes? Do you know how much that is? It's just so much. It's so much better for her to just leave you alone, stay away from you, and not cheat on you, and just go get somebody else, or take the time to heal. But the vindictive woman, oh, you cheat on me, all right, cool. She's not gonna say anything. She's gonna stay with you, and then she's gonna go cheat on you back. Some will let you know, some won't let you know. I mean, what's the point of not letting you know at that point, right? If you already did it. But this is a messed up mindset because women are very emotional sometimes. So sometimes they don't really think about it. They just go and do. But if she tells you this before you make her your girlfriend, do not wife her. I've seen situations personally from guys who book calls and they'll be like, well, she thought I was cheating. And then when I cleared it up, like there was times where this one guy, was trying to plan something with her best friend, plan like a birthday party or something. And she thought that he was cheating with her best friend, and she wasn't. They were just trying to plan it out. So she went out and cheated, not knowing he wasn't doing that. And then when she came to find out, she basically cheated for no reason because she had a vindictive mentality, a vindictive personality, and she felt as if she had to get her lick back. Why? Because she was just her as a person. So if you're on a date with a girl and she's like, oh, well, if you cheat on me, I'm gonna cheat on you back. If you don't cheat on me, then we won't have any problems. Stay away from her. Stay away from her. Don't wife her. Yeah, you can have fun with her, but don't even do that because you can't trust those kind of girls because you don't know what they doing. Shit, she might have a boyfriend. She might have a man. You never know. But even if you're not going to cheat and it's like, well, you got nothing to worry about if you don't cheat, but still, like I said, she could probably cheat on you thinking that you're doing something and you're not even doing nothing. So try to stay away from the vindictive women. And it just takes so much more energy. And they're just putting their energy in the wrong place. Just, I'm going to cheat on you because you cheated on me type of shit. Leave those girls alone. And you can always filter them out. Just be like, oh, have you ever cheated in the past? A lot of them will lie. But that's probably not the best question. You want to say, oh, so if a guy cheated on you, you're going to get your lick back, right? Kind of say an agreement. If she says yes, we got one. You got to leave her alone, right? You got to leave her alone. Now, and also even another thing when you're on dates, this is another thing. And because I've done this about several times. It's been a while since I've done it too. Like if you're on a date and say if you're on a date, right? Everybody's always on their phone, but at some time you should be putting your phone down, putting your phone to the side, or putting both of the phones on top of each other and talking face to face, talking about what's going on, talking about each other, engaging in conversation. And if you ask her to get off, you're like, all right, well, let's talk. Get off your phone. Let's talk. We're here to talk. And she continues to be on her phone. Give her one more time. Even two more times. The last time I did it, I gave this girl 5 warnings and she was so rudely on her phone. We ordered the appetizers. The food never came. It was, and to be fair, the food was taking kind of long. And I think the appetizers came. The entrees never came. And I was like, can you just get off your phone? I'm like, listen, come on now. You serious? You're going to stay on your phone all the time? And she was talking, but it was just like, I was like, all right, she's just deliberately being rude. And see, the thing with me is because I do this, I think that some girls see what I do and they come and try to test me and try to I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that's the case. It may not be the case. So I just got up and left. I was like, you know what? You have a nice day. And I got up and left. And then she hit me back and was like, wow, you really left. I can't believe you just got up and left like that, and text me. She was like, I'm sorry. Can you come back? I was gone. And then the next day she was like, can we go on another date? I'll pay. I was like, you know what? I'm okay. This is a one-shot deal. Why? Because I have standards. Most guys don't have standards. Most of you guys don't have standards. You'll be on a date and tolerate anything. Another reason for me to walk out on a date on a girl, if I come on a date and she come looking like a bum, hair frizzy, looking no lipstick on, lips chapped, she wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt for the first time seeing me, because you know what that means? That means I'm not here to impress you. I probably don't really like you. I'm not really trying to, I'm really not trying to impress you. That says what she thinks about you. So if a girl shows up like that on a date and she's not trying to impress you, she's not trying to look her best. What girl you know shows up on a date not trying to look her best? She shows up like that. I'd be like, oh wow, you look specifically your style's very reclusive. I wouldn't even. I'd be like, you know what? I don't think this is for me. First impressions last forever, and this is not something I want to deal with. I just don't think it's up to my standards. I've done that before. I've literally walked out on girls, bold, gangster. I don't care because honestly, like, what were you thinking? And you supposed to be a representation of me, and I'm out, and you looking like this? Absolutely not. It don't match. So I will 100% walk away, 100%, and you should too. Um, Another thing that I would say is, and this may be a bit of a controversial one, is making girls your girlfriend and her body count is a little high. And I know some guys, I would say me, and you got to understand this. I know a lot of you guys are young, so you say, "Oh, I'm not dating a girl, I'm not wifing a girl if her body counts at least 5. If it's more than 5, I'm not doing it. More than 2, I'm not doing it." One, you got to understand, girls are going to lie about this. They're going to lie about this because they're aware that nobody likes somebody who's been ran through. They understand that. And so even other girls are condemned girls for having a high body count. Not just men. It's something in society. It's something in society. And I think it's almost like an innate deterrence from keeping women from just exploring and going crazy. And a lot of women will lie on that. They're gonna lie. And remember the J. Cole line. He was like, if whatever she say her body count is, you got to times by 3, because women will do that. But there's a lot of problems with women with high body count. Studies show that women with high body count usually have a hard time in relationships. And science, I think it's psychologicalscience.org. I put it in a relationship course. Make sure you guys get that they put a study out, and they was talking about how women who have high body counts, when they try to reform themselves and try to come back to being just monogamous and being with one person, they have a hard time. Statistics show they have a hard time with being in a relationship after that. Now, some people would consider 10 a lot. I wouldn't. And it depends on her age. If she's 19-year-old with 10 bodies, you got a problem. That's a problem. But if I say she's 30 or older and has 10 bodies, it's not so bad, because you got to understand, throughout the years, she could have had a whole bunch of failed relationships. She kind of maybe had one night stand that she thought was going to turn into something better, but the guy just ghosted her, So throughout the years, if that happens, you got to understand, you got to have a general understanding. But I hear some guys, and they're talking to me like, "Oh, KB, she has 50 bodies. She has 60 bodies. She has 30 bodies." And these guys are in college. They're in high school. Don't wife these girls. I would strongly suggest don't wife these girls. And another indicator is if a girl says, if you're on a date and you ask a girl, "Oh, what do you think about body count? Do you think body count is important?" Some girls will say, if we're talking about a guy, she will say, "Yeah, it really doesn't matter to me." But and if you ask her about girls, and she says, if she hits you with this bullshit, "Oh, I just really think it doesn't matter. I think attitude and personality is what all that matters." She's projecting. Why does that why does that matter? If she's talking about herself, if she's talking about women, why does that matter? Because she has a high body count and she doesn't want to disclose that number because she knows she's going to be judged. So if she's like, "Oh, well, I don't really think that matters because, body positivity." Now, I know Amber Rose would say none of that shit matters, but look at her relationships. Her relationships isn't the best, and now she's getting cheated on. I mean, that probably has nothing to do with body count, but listen, she's not the best person to look for as an example, right? And I know maybe hoe shaming, slut shaming, whatever you want to call this, probably not the best thing, but I'm talking about for you having standards, because women will get on our back. You can't tell a woman nothing, right? If you say, "Oh," women will say, "Oh, I need a man 6 feet. I need a man that's making 6 figures. Oh, if he ain't getting no money, I can't date him. If he not making more than me, I can't date him. If if he still live at home with his mother, I can't date him. I don't care. I don't care if his mother lives with him, whatever the case may be. I can't do it." They have all these standards. "Oh, women are beautiful. You're this, you're that. Everybody's beautiful. You can't say nothing negative about a woman, because if you do, then you're wrong." But when you have standards, when you say, well, I don't date women that are overweight, sorry. I don't date women that you know, that have more than a body count of 10. I don't date women that, have baby daddies by different have kids by different baby daddies. They will get on your back. They will attack you for having standards when you say stuff like that, but it's okay when they do it. No, absolutely not. I will not subscribe to that. I will not let that be okay. And then when you try to compare, you say, well, what about you? You won't date a guy that's shorter than 6 feet. You want a guy that's really tall. Okay. Well, these are my preferences. What's the difference? What's the difference? Why can't I have preferences? Why do I get it? Because if I say my preferences now, I'm misogynist. Oh, misogyny, whatever you want to call it. Misogyny. Oh, you just hate. How do I hate women? What? It doesn't even make sense. The definition of a misogyny is having a hate for women without reason, basically. That's just me having standards. Absolute standards. And shit, I got more standards than that. I won't date a girl. She don't know how to dress. I don't care how cute she is. I take that back. If she don't know how to dress and she's not willing to let me get her right and work on her style, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because first of all, you can't be going out in public with me not knowing how to dress, looking crazy. There's a lot of cute girls that don't know how to dress. I'm like, well, let's get your style together. I'm gonna buy you a jacket. I'm gonna get you some pants. Let's do this. Let's do that. And let me dress you up, baby. You know what I'm saying? And if she's like, no, I'm good. I can dress myself. And then she come looking like a bozo. I'm like, you know what? I might not break it over to right there, but I'm gonna tell her honestly, like, I don't think this is the best situation for me. Because I'm just not feeling it. And I'm real tolerable. It won't be right away, right? Obviously, this happens over time. You know, I'll be like, well, you should maybe suggest this. I would suggest clothes for her. I would suggest this. I would suggest that. And then, if it's still not hitting and she's not allowing me to help, I'm gonna be done with her. But you gotta have standards. Men don't have standards at all whatsoever. And you know what? As men, is nothing wrong with having standards. You gotta have standards. You gotta have standards. And I think a lot of the times you guys don't even think about this. You're just so willing to take the girl. And then when you get into a relationship, you run into these problems because you had no type of filtering mechanism. Women do it all the time. Oh, red flags. Watch out for the red flags. Oh, this is a red flag, red flag, red flag. Okay, well, that's basically their filtering mechanism. That's how they filter out. And girls should have this, right? So they don't end up sleeping with a whole bunch of men and giving away their body to each and everybody. A lot of girls do have filtering mechanisms. But because I think the narrative in society is if a man can do it, I can do it too. And there's this thing of comparing men and women, not saying that we're not equal because we are equal. We're just different. There's benefits from being a man, and then there's benefits from being a woman. I know women that just get free money all the time because they're beautiful and men want to send it to them. That's how all these women with OnlyFans, because a lot of them are not even putting like sexual content up. They're just regular pictures, are a little explicit pictures. And then they're getting millions and hundreds of thousands, 30,000, 40,000 a month. Some girls will get into the club for free because they're so pretty. They'll skip the line. The guards will let them in. There are benefits from being a woman, but then there's also benefits from being a man. You can't go around parading yourself like a man and thinking that it's going to get the same results and society is not going to get them you. I watched a video on TikTok, girls crying, I don't understand how guys get to do it, but I can't, because you are not a man. Society is lying to you. We are different. And if you're going to do it, don't be out here boastful about it. Keep that to yourself. Nobody wants to hear that. Oh, I got a rotation of men. You know how disgusting that sounds? That sounds crazy. And you know everybody's going to condemn you for it. So have standards. And another thing that I would say is talking to women that are not God-fearing. Now, I'm not saying you got to be the most religious, but a lot of the times when you don't have any structure and basis for morality, for example, I see a lot of people on here talking about, oh, tell me why being gay is immoral. All right, cool. If you don't think it's immoral, that's fine. We're not here to have that debate. But if you have a fear of God, right? If you have some type of basis for what are your standards for morality, you can say, well, this is my standard. God says this, he says that, says this, and I'm not going to do those things. But if you don't have any basis for morality, anything goes. I watched the live and a guy said, I don't think a sister and a brother hooking up is immoral. How is that not immoral? You know how crazy that sounds? And that happens because they don't have any basis for it. They think it's a subjective thing. Anything goes, because if you don't have any basis for morality, then it's like, all right, where's your reference? Anything starts to go. And then you have people in society saying, oh, this is okay. All right, that's fine. You can say that's okay. But what I'll say is try to date someone that has a basis for morality. And what does a basis for morality look like? They usually have a code or a standard that they live by. And usually these people are usually God-fearing people. Seriously. And I'm not saying you have to be super religious, because I'm not super religious. But I'm not gonna go around here saying that I'm gonna hook up with men, and I'm not gonna go around saying I'm unaliving people, I'm taking people's lives because they owed me money. I might beat somebody up, but I ain't gonna take their life. Because I have a basis for morality and I know that these things are wrong. And as a child growing up, there's nature versus nurture. A child doesn't know anything from right or wrong. A child doesn't know anything from gay or straight. These are things that a child is being taught. So as you're being taught this, you're a product of your environment. You need a basis for morality. And when a girl doesn't have that, she's subjugated to do anything. Obviously, they'll say, oh, I have morals. Yeah, you have morals, but things that they may see and think is okay, you might not think is okay. And why? Because your morality, your ethics are on a totally different level. So, on a very basic, I say date somebody who is God fearing, somebody who has some type of morals and ethics. You can't just date anybody, because a lot of times you guys think you can just date these girls. And then when you run into issues in a relationship, you're not understanding why, because you did not filter out these women. And then you're having trouble with the filtering process, and you're having trouble in your relationships. But anyway, guys, we're gonna end this off. I'll take maybe a few questions. We're gonna end this podcast off, and then I'll take a question or two. Let's end off promoting the relationship course from AIT. All right, guys, that was AI Tate. Thank you, AI Tate, for the promote. Make sure you guys hit the link in the bio and get the relationship course. Make sure you subscribe to Patreon. Patreon's only $16 a month. A lot of exclusive content. I see some people on here asking, can you make a video for setting boundaries? They're already on there. All you got to do is search for it. This podcast in itself had some facets of setting boundaries in your relationship. So there's that. Hit the link in the bio. Subscribe to the podcast also. A lot of good content. And I will now take some questions, because the podcast really ended, honestly. So if you guys got any questions, shoot them out. Let me take these glasses off because these shits are really dark. I like them, but those are just really, really dark. My face is really greasy. When should you implement Dread Game? I prefer you hit the link in the bio and subscribe to Patreon for that. I have a whole 40-minute video on anxiety, but Dread Game is necessary if you're doing it in an approach. Um, Usually that works with like girls that are full of themselves, ultra pretty girls like 9s and 10s. Because if you do it with the wrong person, you might mess up the interaction, or mess up the relationship. Some girls are not as secure as others. So implementing Dread Game on the wrong type of person can backfire. But usually when Dread can be seen as a lot of different things. Not talking for a little bit can be Dread Game. You being busy at work, if you talk to this girl all day, every day, and then you finally switch up and you're like at work and your phone died and you be like, I couldn't talk. That can be considered dread game. That can be considered dread game. Pulling away your attention. But when you should implement it is usually when a situation, the narrative needs to change. Now that can be, a lot of guys can misuse it and use it to manipulate. And when they want a girl to do something that they want, they could implement dread game. Most guys don't do that because most guys aren't that intricate. Most guys are very simple in their approach. And a lot of times you don't necessarily have to do that. But dread game can be implemented. It all depends. It's very specific. There's a lot of different ways you can implement dread game. Anybody on Zoom, if you guys got questions, speak up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link on YouTube. And you guys can click the link. I'm going to stay on here for 10 more minutes, and then I'll answer some questions. So if you guys want to come on the Zoom and chat with me, you can do that. Put the link in the chat. Damn, how do I pin it? Oh, whatever. What are your questions? Hey, full video, part 3. How do I get my ex back? That's on Patreon. If you want the full video to how to get your ex back, the video is on Patreon. I think it's part 4, part 3 and part 4, maybe. I think they're all on Patreon, but I think part 3 is on Patreon. You got to subscribe to Patreon for that. I see Ray on here on the Zoom. You got anything to say, man? Speak up, forever hold your peace. Click the link in the chat to get on here. I'm leaving in 10 more minutes, guys. He said, if you're reading this, help me, KB. Or what do you need help with? Appreciate it. He said, I'll subscribe to your Patreon, bro. Your content has helped me a lot. No problem, man. No problem. That's what I do. Ramadan coming. How you keep your options open until Eid. Yo, wait. When does Ramadan start? Does it start in March or April? I'm so unsure. I hope it's April. Oh, good. April is good. April is good. April is good. We could do that. I start to prepare for Ramadan like a month before, so I do a lot of fasting. I hear somebody on Zoom. If you guys are gonna speak up. If not, mute your mic, because right now, Ray, your mic is not muted. So guys, speak up. And I'm only on here for 10 more minutes, and I'm getting out of here. Gotta head to the gym. But yeah, March, I usually try to prepare a month before. I mean, I fast every day, just about. I don't usually eat until today. I didn't fast, but usually every day I fast until like I want to say 5 or like 3 p.m. every day. Sometimes I might eat after 8 because I was busy working out.
Yo, KB.
What's the deal?
Hey man, what's up? I just had a question, man. So me and my girl, we've been doing long distance for a little bit. We've been dating a little bit over a year and a half. And you know, I see her every now and then because she's in college right now. She lives about 8 hours away. And I was just wondering, everything's good in the relationship. Obviously, we got our little bumps here and there, but my question is, how do you keep that spark alive in the relationship? You know, how do you because sometimes I'll be texting her and I'll be looking at the phone and I'm like, man, I'm kind of just, you know, getting tired of this or kind of getting bored of it. And I feel like she feels the same way, but, you know, we don't really speak on it.
How often do you see her?
I want to say about every month, 2 months.
That's normal. I mean, if she's 8 hours away, that's not that bad. I've done long distance.
Yeah.
I've done long distance even further. But one, she should be reaching out to you more. That's one. Whenever you do a long distance relationship, she should always be reaching out to you more than you reach out to her.
Right.
That's one. Two, you still need all the things that you would need in a regular relationship. You would need in a long distance relationship. That's one. So I would say just regular things like, obviously having space. Now you can talk a little more than you would um somebody who is not long distance because obviously you guys don't see each other as much, but you got to spice things up. Things need to be fun. Sometimes send her random things in the mail. Sometimes, send send videos or try to FaceTime more or send random videos, send fun videos, maybe send a little freaky video. You never know.
Yeah.
Those are fun sometimes, but sometimes there needs to be space because women can feel distance too. So all texting all day, every day, all the time, that is not it.
No, yeah.
That's
I
not
feel
it.
that, man.
That's not it either. So you also need to be on your purpose. You still need to have a purpose. And also, sell a dream. Sell a dream. And not sell a dream that is real, that is fake, that'll never happen. Sell a dream, talk about the future, how it's going to be if you guys see each other more often, if you see each other every day, or how that will be so that she has something to look forward to. And also implement anxiety. But see, this is why I would suggest subscribing to the relationship course or subscribing to Patreon, where you can find these things. All these answers are there for you, and I would really just suggest doing that.
All right, KB Word. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the word of advice. You take care now, okay?
No problem. All right, next, get up here, guys. We got about 5-6 more minutes. I'm out of here.
Yo, what's up, KB?
What's the
Can you hear
deal?
me? Okay. I just had I just wanted to know how you would go about like raising a son. Maybe you could do a podcast on this one, like how you would raise a son or raise your kids, because I've heard like different points of views. I didn't have a father in my life, so I'm not too sure how to go about that. And I use your content in a way like as a father figure, you know. So yeah, I don't know if you're gonna be doing podcasts like years from now. So maybe you could do one based off that, so I could look back at it.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you go about like raising a son, raising your daughter? I've heard like how Andrew Tate how he would raise his son, but I feel like that's a little excessive. He was like, oh, I would see him like every 3 weeks or something like that, some crazy shit. But I feel like as a dad, you do need to be in a son's life, because I feel like I got that late jump when I got introduced to your content, showing me how to be a man. Mm-hmm. And I feel like part of being a man is obviously having kids in the long run, you know? So I just want to know your opinions on that, how you would go about raising your son, raising a daughter, starting a family and all that.
Well, I need to turn off your mic because I can hear my echo. Well, raising a son, I actually do want a son. But the only difficult part about that is choosing the right mom, right? You got to choose the right mom, especially when you have a daughter. But raising a son, it'll come naturally because you're gonna have a lot of your morals and ethics are gonna come off on him. But when it comes to raising a son, you got to give him character. You got to have morals and ethics. That has to be taught from a very young age. And the only thing that I can do is tell you how I was raised. For the most part, my dad was around most of the time. He wasn't able to be there all the time, but I had two parents. My parents separated when I was 18, so I was already a grown ass man. But there's a lot of foundation, and you use the same foundation that you would keep for yourself. Obviously, I would say God comes first. You got to have morals and ethics. And if you were listening to the podcast that I just did, you have to have a moral compass. You have to have something to refer to, something that you will have a reference to compromising your morals and ethics. Like meaning, you don't want your son out there just dating anybody, right? You don't want him coming home with drug addicts. You don't want him coming home. I mean, maybe you think that's okay, but you don't want him coming home with men. I wouldn't want my son coming home with men and drug addicts and just any type of girl, right? So you got to have a moral compass too. You got to have them. You got to make them tough. There's a lot of book. There was one book I read was The Millionaire Next Door, and they were talking about how some rich parents hurt their kids because they would do everything for them, and they didn't teach them how to fend for themselves. They didn't teach them how to get anything. So they gave two examples of two women that got divorced from their husbands, and one woman because their parents brought them everything. They brought their house. They paid for their wedding. They paid for their cars. So when they divorced, that man went on his own, and that woman and her kids had to move back home because she didn't know how to fend for herself. Whereas the other woman she got a job, she got to the top of her corporation, and she became a millionaire earner. And it was because she was taught at a young age to fend for herself. She was taught to work. She was taught to do things that basically helped her become independent. And then on top of that, she ended up getting married, and she married somebody who made more money than her. Right. And that's a prime example as if you have a child and you're doing too much to baby them and spoil them, and you don't allow them to get out there and fend on their own, if you don't teach them to be tough, if you don't give them these values from a very young age, then you're going to almost be hurting them. Right. And a lot of the times, this is something that a mother does, but statistically, mothers don't raise men that are successful in life. I think it's like, was it like 6 out of 10 single mothers have kids that like go to jail or something like that, or end up in jail. Now, of course, you have single mothers that produce crazy successful people like NBA players, fighters, it doesn't matter. But it's fewer than many. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you see less. So I think that you got to have a good basics. You got to have a good standard and morals, teach your kid how to read, and just really make them tough. And another thing is, the Mormons have this thing where they say if you give a child, you give me a child from birth to 6 years old, we'll show that man who he'll be for the rest of his life. And that's why that's very, very important, is when a child's very young, all his beliefs, his concepts, his who he is as a person, his self-concept for himself, who he thinks he is, all those things are created at that very young age. So all the things that are subconscious languages, your beliefs about the world, all those things are developed from a very young age. So it's very important that you're in that child's life and teaching him these things. Because when I was younger, I have a lot of confidence in myself. But that's because when I was younger, my father would talk to me in a certain way. He taught me how to fight. Like he would tell me, like we would be training, he'd be like, "You know who you are?" I'd be like, "Who am I?" He's like, "You're Khalid Billings. You're great. Our lineage is great." He would talk to me like shit. I thought I was fucking, I thought I came from royalty the way he was talking to me, but that helped build my self-esteem at a very young age. So I went around in the world with this demeanor like You need to respect me. You need to talk to me a certain type of way. You can't talk to me like that. You know who I am? Because from a very young age, I was talked to like this. I was being told that I was, I was almost that of royalty. I was grandiose. The world had to treat me with respect. So this helped me create my paradigm. So I always had this thing where if a woman wasn't talking to me crazy, I'd be like, yo, why are you talking to me like that? I couldn't understand. So now my world conforms, and I know better now. Anybody who's talking to me crazy and anybody who's disrespecting me, they got to go. And you can't just hit women, but a man you could hit. So if somebody's disrespecting you, got a problem, you warn them, hey, listen, don't disrespect me like that. I remember when I was working I had a server job a few years back. I was working at PF Chang's, and this kid in New York, everybody says, suck my D, right? That's the thing in New York. And he told me that. I was like, bro, don't talk to me like that. I would dead ass beat the living dog shit out of you. Don't talk to me like that. And then while I was in the back in the kitchen, I told everybody, anybody in here, and I spoke to everybody in the kitchen, men, all of them. Anybody in who tell me that has a problem, and we could take it outside if you tell me that. Nobody's gonna talk to me like that, and nobody said nothing. I don't care who it was. It was people in there that was bigger than me. I was willing to fight for my respect. It is what it is. But these are things that I was taught when I was younger. Now, there's a lot of other things that I wish my father taught me that would have helped me build up and be a stronger person and a more successful person I am today. But at some point, you got to take responsibility for your own life. But raising a kid is very, very important. But I would say most of the things that you want to teach this kid and when he's younger, and repetition, even so much so you could start even younger. Like they have little like these little music suction cups that you attach to the woman's stomach while they're in the belly, and you play certain audios, and then you give birth to a demigod. And self-esteem, be listening to shit like I'm a god and I win everything, I can't be defeated. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I think you just want to be there to monitor, because the child's going to pick up all the habits from the people he sees the most, and also who you have your kid around, who he's being babysitted by. You got to be careful with that shit too. I picked up a lot of things. I was subjected to watching porn at a very young age because, when I went to my aunt's house, that's what they were watching. That also made me very sexualized me. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful who you have your kids around also. But anyways, listen, I'm gonna get off of here. Make sure you guys hit the link in the bio, subscribe to Patreon if you can, subscribe to the podcast, and get the relationship course. A lot of questions you guys ask are in the relationship course, and it's there for you, right? And if you guys do that, a lot of your problems will definitely be solved. Listen to AIT. AIT ain't never lied. Anyway, I'm gonna get off here, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I will be back. Holla at y'all.